Hello, good evening. My name is Emma Davis and time to do prime business with me. Economist Professor Lord Mensah has predicted the introduction of taxes in the upcoming 2024 budget as a measure of generating revenue. He explains the current economic structure does not allow government to invest in the informal sector as a conduit of generating more revenue. Already, business groups have tabled a number of taxes they either want scrapped or reviewed in the 2024 budget. Speaking to Joy Business, Professor Mensah stated that the 2024 budget must strike a balance between election year spending and fiscal responsibility as required by the IMF.
Find itself in. We need a budget that will strike a balance between fiscal responsibility that the IMF requires of us, and then also the excesses that election year comes with. We know very well that when it gets to election year, overspending is a problem. So from where I sit, yes, I expect government to, as part of the fiscal responsibility, structures that we've adopted with the IMF, to introduce some taxes and to increase, revenue here and there. Because, looking at the economic structure as we speak now, government cannot invest anymore into informal, revenue generation and, as we speak. So I can tell you that, yes, we need a budget that is going to strike a balance between election year spending and then fiscal responsibility, as required by the IMF. The problem is that, we've gotten agitations, and we all understand, that there seems to be that kind of tax fatigue in the economy, a situation where, businesses are going down as a result of, tax being increased, and the way taxes are feeding into prices, prices not being able to come down, keeping inflation high. These are all things that needs to be taken into consideration, and I can tell you that the finance minister has no option than bring in some new taxes or repackage some taxes to generate the necessary revenue that is required. But then also we should also appreciate that there could be some shocks as we're going into the 2024. I'm expecting the finance minister to provide kind of contingency to some of these shocks in case we are not able to rake in as expected. But I can tell you that there will be possibility of new taxes.
Still on the budget, the African Development Bank says it expects government to remain committed to the reforms in its budget statement to address the current economic challenges. This comes after the bank signed a $102 million budget support deal with the Finance Ministry. According to the country manager for African Development Bank, the bank will continue to partner government in various sectors to ensure stability.
Honorable Deputy Minister, currently the bank's group active country portfolio consists of about 20 operations. We have 15 public sector operations and 5 private sector operations, with a total commitment of about $726 million across various sectors. Transport accounts for the largest, followed by agriculture sector. The portfolio also involves projects in economic governance, energy sector, water and sanitation, and human capital development. These ongoing projects, in addition to the budget support program we are signing today, would support government's recovery and development efforts and contribute to the bank's high fives dimensions in Ghana. So we will light up and power Ghana, feed Ghana, industrialize Ghana, integrate Ghana, and improve the quality of the life of Ghanaians. Honorable Deputy Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are confident that the government will remain committed to the reforms identified in the program as to take full advantage of it to address the current difficult economic conditions faced by the country. In conclusion, allow me, Honorable Deputy Minister, to seize this opportunity to reaffirm The commitment and the availability of the African Development Bank Group once again in supporting the efforts of the government and the people of Ghana in addressing the country's recovery efforts and development.
The Ghana National Petroleum Corporation is expected to begin its first drilling for the Voltaire Basin Petroleum Project, which has been on the table for some time now. According to the manager for exploration and appraisal at GNPC, Michael Aite, all is set for drilling to begin next year. He made the disclosure in an interview at this year's Offshore Summit in Accra.
Exploration for the Voltaire Basin is on course and is expected to begin in the second quarter of 2024 as the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation GNPC identified a key location to begin its well drilling. Speaking to journalists after addressing stakeholders at the Offshore Africa Energy Summit in Accra, manager in charge of exploration and appraisal at GNPC, Michael Aite, disclosed that procurement processes will be open to all Ghanaian oil and gas companies to participate in the drilling process. He believes that all the data gathered by the corporation will support the search for the natural resource at the field.
Voltaire, because it's a frontier, the probability of success is lower. But we have seen indications that there is a possibility that oil has been generated. And that's why we are going ahead with the drilling.
So you don't have a working system yet?
No, there are indications that there is a working system. But what you don't know is the quantity. You don't know that yet because what we have is 2D data. But we need well information to help us do a better job. GNPC works under the Public Procurement Act. So we are going to follow it to the letter. Over the years, that's what we have done. So locals that are registered with the Petroleum Commission and not a permit to participate, they are allowed to participate fully. And unlike other companies, we will present it in such a way that it is unbundled so that Ghanaians can have full participation in the procurement process. It will be put in the national dailies so everybody will know once we start the process.
The summit focused on energy transition and the various policies implemented by government to achieve net zero as agreed at the COP28. Here is Editor-in-Chief of Offshore Africa, organizers of the event, Gilbert Acosta.
The energy transition is the main issue in the industry right now. Everybody's talking about it. I think in Africa we don't even get to talk about it as it's done elsewhere. When you go to international meetings and conferences, the focus completely is on energy transition. What steps are being taken to ensure that the country or the world generally is compliant with the trend towards net zero. But I think in Africa we have a major challenge. We have energy poverty. We have a lot of challenges. And you know, oil and gas, for example, represents a good way for the economies to pick up. I mean, we have oil and gas resources in Africa. We cannot just ignore that.
The expected drilling of the exploration for the Voltaire Basin will be conducted onshore.
Brent crude oil is estimated to average $86 per barrel in 2024. That's according to the African Energy Chamber. This is due to a stronger demand outlook, tightening next year's global balances. Here's more.
In its 2024 State of African Energy, it said the estimated Brent crude base for Q4 2023 is $87 per barrel. Presently, crude oil is hovering around $83 per barrel. If this trend is to continue and the cedi remains stable against the US dollar, prices of petroleum products will not change much at the pumps. The African Energy Chamber also said while the Chinese macroeconomic situation should be closely monitored, at this point, the Brent crude outlook remains cautiously optimistic. Moreover, the current negative macroeconomic sentiment could partially be mitigated by an additional extension of Saudi Arabia's voluntary cut. It said the outlook for the rest of the year suggests that upside price pressure will not recede as the forecast for global balances points towards a significant deficit in the market.
Still in the energy sector, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Petroleum Authority, Dr. Mustafa Hamid, has urged the public to embrace the circular recirculation module policy to ensure safety and increase access to LPG to 50% by 2030. He said the policy would ensure the existence of robust and standard health, safety and environmental practices in the production, marketing and consumption of LPG. Dr. Abdul Hamid made the call at the launch of the Consumer Week celebration at Takrade in the Western region.
Consumer Week celebration is observed each year by the National Petroleum Authority as part of the Global Consumer Service Week celebration to educate the people on their rights and responsibilities and how to safely use petroleum products. The NPA boss said LPG is a cleaner burning fuel that provides smoke-free indoor cooking and helps to reduce outdoor and urban air pollution. Unfortunately, Dr. Abdul Hamid said LPG uptake in the country was low, currently around 37%, and needed to be actively promoted.
Waton fuel amount. Odi tu uko 100 meters, 500 meters. Ukano ejina. And what's the only uto fuel? Say uka engine. Say safa ubodia. And there was bisa. Ejuma bay and a MPA for a year with chrome hantia. Mikoto fuel. The car engine say. So oye ne fa. Wawa aban etia on kase omuma MPA. No one petrol, one sem, with diesel, with LPG, one sem cano. But if you have a disinterested citizenship, then you give politicians the opportunity to do what they want.
Deputy Minister of Energy Andrew Ejapamesa said the timing of the promotional and sensitization drive was significant given the current debate about climate change with its associated environmental and health effects.
Since the launch of the program in September 2022, 20,000 LPG cook stoves and related accessories have already been distributed to households across 9 MMDAs, thus incentivizing them to switch to the use of LPG. The timing of this promotional and sensitization drive is significant, given the current discussions on climate change with its associated environmental and health effects. Climate change places a greater responsibility on countries to adopt more environmentally sound practices to save the environment from further deterioration.
He said Ghana needs to play a leading role in discouraging any activities that hurts the environment.
It is therefore crucial for Ghana to play a leading role in discouraging any activity that has an adverse effect on the environment, and the Ministry of Energy stands ready to support the NPA and other allied institutions in this endeavor for our collective good. Currently, the world is shifting towards transitioning energy supplies from fossil fuels to renewables due to climate change concerns.
Western Regional Minister Dr. Kobna Otrida Comensa urged the public to avoid complacency.
Like you understand, when you use wood, your eyes have problems, will have problems. When you use charcoal, you might have respiratory problems. And what we are saying is that the cost of losing your eye is far bigger than the cost of buying gas. So that's where you have to do the equation and balance. If you like your eyesight to go or you have respiratory problems, instead of buying gas, which will save you from all this. So that's where the comparison has to come in. That's where the decision has to be taken properly to make sure that you make the right choice. Because without good health, you cannot enjoy life. Yes, money is not everything.
For Joy Business, in Athalia Kwansa, Western Region.
Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization, Ama Poma Boateng says government is on course to push for the Ghana Digital Economic Policy. The policy, according to the Deputy Minister, is to digitize fiscal revenue collection, support cashless society, and improve online education delivery. According to her, government will seek to invest in a national fiber network backbone to expand and improve internet connectivity. She was speaking at the 3rd edition of the Ghana Digital Innovation Week.
The digital revolution is not merely about adopting new gadgets. It is about transforming industries, governance, and society itself. Through technology, we enhance efficiency, empower our citizens, and connect with the world. That is why we have developed the Ghana Digital Economic Policy, which is to be laid before Cabinet for approval. This policy is building upon the foundations laid by the ICT for Accelerated Development Policy that was developed in 2003. This forward-looking policy zeroes in on vital areas, including digital infrastructure, data-driven innovation, entrepreneurship, data protection, user privacy, cybersecurity, digital literacy, and skills. It is a comprehensive approach that ensures inclusivity and economic growth for all. Today, we stand at the cusp of a new era, an era that beckons us to think bigger, aim higher, and dream beyond conventional boundaries. We must also remain vigilant about the ethical implications of technology. As we innovate, we must do so responsibly, ensuring that the benefits of technology are harnessed for the collective good while safeguarding against potential pitfalls.
Overlord of the Wala State, Naf Hussein Pelpo, has observed that the influx of cheap second-hand clothing is having a negative impact on the business of tailors and dressmakers in the country. He noted that if care is not taken, the influx of these second-hand products will price out tailors and dressmakers on the market. Paramount Chief of the Busa Traditional Area, Na Ali Pelpo, speaking on behalf of the Overlord of the Wala State at the 12th Biannual Congress of the Ghana National Tailors and Dressmakers Association in Wa, urged them to lobby government for its cessation. Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
The 12th Biennial Congress of the Ghana National Tailors and Dressmakers Association, GNTDA, was held on the theme Creativity, Innovation, and Finessing Recipes for Good Designing in the 21st Century. It was attended by branch and regional executives from across the country. Paramount Chief of the Boa Traditional Area, Na Ali Sedi Pelpo Yelmana, delivering a speech on behalf of the Overlord of the Wala State. Na Hussein Sedi Pelpo IV underscored the important role played by tailors and dressmakers since the days of yore.
The trade is as old as mankind. From the beginning of recorded time, members of the trade have clothed men and women. They have clothed the rich and the poor, the ruler and the ruled, the strong and the weak, and indeed all manner of people.
That notwithstanding, Napelpo observed that the influx of cheap second-hand clothing has negatively affected the businesses of members of the GNTDA, and therefore urged the association to lobby government to cease the importation of undesirable garments into the country.
It is a fact that for some time now, the influx of already made cheap second-hand clothes into the Ghanaian market has negatively affected the fortune of the industry. The growing cost of production has not helped the situation, as people find the imported used clothes cheaper for their pockets. The the association should take steps to get the government to ensure that the country ceases to continue to be the dumping grounds for undesirable goods from other countries. Until this is effectively done, your operations will continue to suffer.
President of the GNTDA, Joanna Asian Mensah, who was retained for another 4-year tenure, accounted for his stewardship during the last 4 years of a reign.
That's all for Prime Business tonight with me, Emma Davis. For more business news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good evening.